right.
Recording.
With that, then I will call this meeting to order. And we'll jump right in because we've got a number of things to cover. So we'll try to keep some pace here tonight. Brent, any update regarding city affairs? Are you, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening. I think most of my stuff is covered further down in the agenda. However, Johnny did send an email prior that discusses the sales tax. It's significantly higher. I don't have it in front of me right now, but I want to say it was before up about 25%, and I think the number was year to date we're up about 14, if I remember correctly. So
I think 12.35.
12.3
last year. Yeah.
Okay. So I apologize for the bad numbers. Let me bring it up. Looks like as far as comparable to last year, we're up almost 26%, 25.75, and a 12.35 change in the year-to-date payment. So that's good. We did overall, as far as the state goes, they're seeing about a 5% net increase in the period, and the year-to-date's up 0.83%, so just shy of 1%. So we're healthy, and again, we attribute most of that to online sales and home delivery.
That's fantastic.
Big box. But,
Yeah, that's great.
That's all I have, and the rest of it will be further on down.
Okay. Thank you very much. Director comments, and just based on kind of who's showing up on my screen. Mike, do you have any comments?
Yeah, the only comment I'll make is just a quick update on the Aspens mural. Charles and I talked about it and talked with Vincent. We thought it would be better to have the building power washed before the palapa leaves were put up. And Vinny agreed to pay for that. So the building's been power washed. The palapa framework is going up. The leaves should be up in approximately 2 to 3 weeks. So say by the end of the month, it should be ready for the artists to look at, and they can submit. We're going to ask them to submit a preliminary conceptualized drawing of what they feel it should look like. And then we'll take it from there.
Well, shouldn't we tell them what, give them an outline, Pons, and you and I talked about that, about what we would like to see, not just, if we're paying for it, we want to have it represent the city of Clear Lake Shores in
Yes.
in a great, a very good manner. So I think we need to give them some kind of parameters in which they can work within.
Yeah, I've already done that. Now
Okay.
I'm going to get them to re-quote, because the quote before was supposed to include power washing. So I'm going to have them re-quoted without the power washing. And they also need to include the price of renting a boom lift to get to the top of the peak in the front. And that's $1,000 for a week.
Yeah, will they give us like a schematic of some kind of sketch of their conceptual?
Yes, that's what I'm going to request. We've already told them that we want it to be a representation of what island life is like, and mention things like maybe the lighthouse, maybe the shrimp boat, some sunset, some palm trees, some golf carts, piers, fishing boats, sailboats, stuff like that. So yeah, we're going to get a conceptualized drawing from the top 3 contenders, let's say.
Okay. Well, before we didn't have the palapa thing, so I guess they'll have to figure out how to tie that in now, since they've kind of cut the building in half with that palapa.
Well, that's why we're waiting for the palapa to be finished, so we can tell them, okay, now here's what your canvas looks like.
Right.
So you've got to make your mural, you know, fit into there.
All right.
Okay, Don, do you have any other comments?
We haven't heard anything, I guess, Brent, from the parking lot lighting. Is that correct? Or is that further on down? I'm sorry, I didn't look on down the agenda.
It's further down, yeah.
Oh, it is, okay, all right. No, they had a really good turnout, it looks like, for the Hurricane Laura event that they had the other day. So, other than that, I really don't have a whole lot.
Yeah, they said they raised $4,000 cash plus what was ever in that trailer.
Huh,
Pretty good.
great.
That's pretty good, I think.
Thomas, any comments?
Yeah, I thought I would have an update about the internet by this week, but well, I so far don't have it. Not a lot has happened over the summer, but I'm confident it will be coming. Just as an aside, the roads and drainage, we've gone out and gotten some separate proposals that we are now working on with Kevin and Brent to see if we can save some money and not spend everything in one go. The roads that are scheduled for next year is Blue Point and most of Narcissus. We may only do sections, but the plan is to see if we can get it all done. So hopefully here in the next few weeks we'll have some more.
Okay, Amanda?
Thanks, Charles. So just a quick update. I'm working on scope of services or scope of work, however you want to phrase that, for our advertising campaign. I did reach out to my colleagues because I work with them in my day job at the City of Seabrook and the City of Pasadena. They were gracious enough to share their EDC marketing plans with us. And so I have that just as kind of a framework to really understand and put it in perspective for me. Both the City of Pasadena and Seabrook do use an outside agency. And so I think that's where I would like to head towards. And so at the October meeting, I'll have the scope of work. I'll probably send it to you guys earlier so you can digest it and engage with it ahead of time. And my thought is running a 6 or 8 month campaign that really starts around the holiday season and encouraging people to shop local, eat local, come and hang out local, and then we'll see what that looks like as we start the new year. But I should have something for you guys in the next couple of weeks so that we can discuss and approve at our October meeting, and then hopefully get an agency on board pretty soon.
Fantastic. That sounds very thoughtful and positive. Wonderful. Joe?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I got a comment on what Amanda just said, that just something we might want to think about. I've had more than a couple of people tell me that they don't like coming over to Clear Lake Shores because of the cops and how many tickets that our city writes. Just passing that along. That that the comments were, yeah, I don't go over there. It's just you guys write too many tickets. So something to think about. Reached out to a couple of the, on another note, just reached out to a couple of the tree people. I should have some interviews going on next week, and I'll get with Brent and schedule so he can meet as well.
Yeah, and I think well, there's certainly a longer conversation regarding perception in the marketplace and whether or not that's real or deserved, but that's probably that's a longer conversation. But appreciate that. Johnny?
I don't have a whole lot. Brent mentioned the taxes, and I was just going back to September of 17, so exactly 3 years ago, and I think this is our highest income ever monthly. So maybe, I don't know if there was probably anything higher than that. I wouldn't think so, but so that's really good. Definitely trending in the right direction. Brent, I sent you an email about the Darrow company. Did you get that by chance?
Yes, I did, and I need to check on that. I thought I
Okay.
received an invoice for it, so.
Yeah.
I'll double check into that.
But with all the screw ups, it'd be nice if that just kind of didn't arrive.
Okay, yeah,
So
I'll look for
I
it.
doubt that's going to be the case, but it seems like we should have seen it by now. But anyway, yeah, just keep me updated on that. I'm curious. I'm certainly not going to say anything. I think that's all I have.
Okay, appreciate that. Do we have any unscheduled visitors? I don't think so. So there being none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. If everyone's had an opportunity to review, and I apologize, I didn't realize until I was looking back over everything. I don't know if you saw my email from just a few minutes ago with the financials, or if those had in fact gone out to everyone. I don't think they did. But if you've had a chance to review them and have no questions, then I'd look for a motion to approve the consent agenda consisting of the August 2020 financials, the check register, and the minutes of our last meeting on August 11th.
I'll make such a motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, there being none, please express your approval of the motion by a show of hands. Okay, appears to be unanimous. Motion approved. Then moving on, because obviously when Ronnie left, but he vacated the vice president's position. And so we need someone in that slot for a variety of reasons, one of which is to cover or to chair the meetings in my absence, which, no, I think I'll be here next month. I was about to say I was going to be on vacation, but I reserve the right to be gone at some point. So anyway, Johnny has volunteered to assume that role, and I would like to make a motion to nominate and then I guess vote on his election as vice president. So I'm making the motion, and I would look for a second.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, there being none, again, by show of hands, those who are in favor of the motion.
I guess I'll abstain. Is that
Okay, no, I think you get a vote actually. So
Okay.
Any opposed? I guess I need to see everyone. I'm not seeing any hands in opposition, so motion passes. And so Johnny will be our new vice president. And then similarly, we now need to backfill, and I don't know if we force Johnny to kind of finish the year. That'd probably be the kind thing, wouldn't it, Amanda, to let him finish out the year, since you're still serving on council as well, but
I only have 4 city council meetings left, so I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, is that fiscal year or is that calendar year?
Yeah, yeah.
I can take over, it's no problem. If it's approved, I have no problem.
Okay, well then, same thing would, Amanda has graciously volunteered to serve as secretary, and with that, I'll make the motion to nominate and vote and nominate her as secretary, and we'll have a vote for that. So do I have a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Who was that? I'm sorry.
Thomas.
Okay, Thomas, appreciate it. So again, all in favor, show of hands. All opposed, same sign. There being no opposition, then Amanda, thank you very much for your service, willing to serve. And thank you, Johnny, for having filled in that role.
Oh, of course, very fortunate. And thanks, Amanda.
Okay, next up, and then that's Brent, it's the monthly Lee Tract update, which, by the way, the lot still is holding up well, and it seems to be serving its intended purpose now with no drama. It's a drama-free lot at this point.
Finally.
There's enough at first.
Yeah.
It is also enhanced greatly by the trash receptacle, so it'll look really good and kind of set it off. As far as the lighting plan goes, I did receive the invoice today for the completion of the I guess the electrical service structure and all of the design details for the bases. So that is complete. I did have Kevin look at it for compliance to our elevated status. That is complete. So we do have those drawings now. We can go out for a bid for that work if BDC would like to move forward with that. The total cost was $6,200 for the design work. I don't have a ballpark for the actual construction, but we do have, courtesy of Don Milbauer and his sources, I think a very good price for the architectural lighting poles and the heads and so forth. So those are lighting designed too.
Don, you're good with the plan as it now sits?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Okay. Well, then I guess.
Hey, Brent,
Yes, sir.
is it elevated, or because there's no need to elevate the electrical if it's not supporting a house, commercial building, or residential?
It has to be elevated similar to the platform that's behind Skipper's.
It's gonna have to be up to like 48 or
And
4 feet.
And because of its height, it had to have steps. So it couldn't just be a stand up and accessible. It had to have steps for it. So that's all been designed out. I will send a copy of all that to everyone.
Yeah, if you can send it to me, I can send it over to my source and see if they'd be interested in helping us out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think undoubtedly our intent all along has been to bid this out. I don't know that we need an explicit motion for that unless anyone has an objection. I'd say, Don, when you're satisfied with the plan, we'll go ahead and bid it out, whether that's through your sources, Don, or through city sources. But
I think we should canvass it out too.
Yeah, I'd go ahead and move forward with that, Brent, if you're good with that.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mike, you want to give us an update on the sidewalk art and signage project?
Certainly. As of right now, Amy and her artist have started the drawings. I asked today if she had an estimate of when they would finish, and she told me that, first of all, I thought y'all weren't going to micromanage me. I said, I'm not micromanaging, I want to find out when you might finish. She says, well, I was told to stop working until we get the time-lapse camera. So I'm not sure who told her that. So anyway, she doesn't know exactly when she's going to finish. I know school, as far as I know, is still scheduled to start in-class sessions next Monday. So it probably won't be finished by then, I don't think. So I don't know. Do anybody know if we have that camera in yet?
Adriana, are you?
I'm sorry?
Adri, are you on?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, we just got it today. Very excited. Tomorrow I'm going to mount it.
Okay, so then she'll probably get started again tomorrow. Plus it rained a couple of days and she was delayed because of the hurricane. They closed their shop down and they had to reopen it. So that lost them a few days too.
Right. Mike, and I understand you said that or maybe Brent, you had the conversation with the owner of the apartments that they've agreed to move the rocks back.
Yeah, the rocks between the sidewalk and the back of curb. I did call him last week and talk to him. He was planning on getting those removed because he does have a lot of money in it. And I think the plan was to possibly run some pavers down there and some crushed granite between the sidewalk and the back curb, make that wider.
Well, on that same note, guys, he was supposed to have those rocks removed by tomorrow. And as of 3 o'clock today, nothing's happened. And I do have a quote, and I want to make a motion on it, that Gurman, that did our sidewalks before, he gave me a quote of $1,320 to remove those rocks and plants and put down pavers and granite and trim back the curb with a nice curve on it so it's wider access for golf carts.
So Brent, what are you saying that the apartment owner has agreed to do to kind of take it most of the way there, or just to move the rocks?
Just to get the rocks out of the way. I know that he had expense in the rocks, and I was calling him to let him know that it was going to get cleared out. Likely that he needed to probably get in there and get it out of there because I didn't want it to just be
right.
So
it's likely that, I mean, he'll be removing the rocks, but it's probably not going to change the pricing much, if any. It's more just he's going to take what materials are of value to him. So Mike, do you want to go ahead and make the motion then for the actual improvements?
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion that we approve up to $1,500 for Gurman to both remove the rocks and put the pavers, because if the owner's not going to have it done by next Monday, I'd like to have this finished before school starts on Monday. So Gurman said he can do it this week. So
Okay. So
if I remove it by tomorrow, the job will be easier.
Okay, we have a motion then to approve the expenditure of up to $1,500 for Gurman, the company that's done our other sidewalk repairs, to address that area in front of the apartments and go back with pavers to make that somewhat wider and more passable. Do we have a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Yeah, there you go.
So
Johnny? Okay.
I have a question, and I don't know if this is a Brent question or what, but what are we moving the rocks for? I mean, we're not allowing golf carts on the sidewalk, so what's the purpose of removing those? I mean, I know they protrude out, but is that the only reason why?
Well, Amanda, even if people are walking or riding bicycles, those rocks are a hazard because they're large rocks. If you hit them, you could fall over, number one. Number two, we're not encouraging people, or we've told them they're not legally can't ride the golf cart on the sidewalk, but yet we know they're going to do it. They're already doing it.
I saw some on Friday.
Yeah,
then that's a conversation that we need to have, that needs to happen with the chief, because I thought I heard him say that we're not going to allow that. And so, and if the property owner is going to move them, I don't know, maybe it won't be tomorrow, but it feels like it's not a wise, in my opinion, use of money to have them do that if they're going to do it also. That's just my 2 cents.
Well, my understanding from with the chief and talking to the city a little bit is that the police were not going to encourage it, but they weren't going to stop it either.
And I would say, I think what most of the cost is associated with going back in with pavers, putting down some sort of bedding, because if you just, one, he's probably just going to really remove the big rocks and not grade it back. And even if he does, then it's just a rough patch of dirt. It probably needs a more finished condition, was the thought. And it is pretty narrow in there because we're not going to move them on the inside. But this would just be on the outside, on one side of the sidewalk.
Correct.
Was the owner expecting to keep those rocks, those materials, when you talked to him, Johnny?
I spoke to him, and
Mike did.
he was planning on keeping them.
Yes, and I informed Gurman that he should pick up those rocks and put them in a wheelbarrow or whatever and deposit them in the owner's parking lot. He's already got some rocks there to just add to those.
Is he going to be in touch then with the owner of the apartment complex then?
No, Brent's already talked to him. If he removes the rocks himself, great. If he doesn't, then we'll do it.
But I think that's just that's probably less than $100 of the total bid.
I don't know how, what.
Yeah,
what-
I mean, I'm just saying it's not material one way or the other, but not to throw it away, but to your point, we kind of want to get it on the schedule. With that, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I had one more thing on this.
Yes.
Just a informational notice only to make sure that any of the drawings do not infringe on Disney or any other company's characters or trademarks or copyrights.
Um,
Another question too about the
Officially noted, yes.
I got another question too about the back gate there by Lacey Lane. Is that is there anything happening with that, Brent, about getting that open?
No, when I reached out to them, they said that they decided they wanted to keep it residents only. So they were not going to open it up.
So I was able to use it this last weekend when we went and got our boat out, and it has a cipher lock on it, but it's all rusted and missing all the parts. So it doesn't even lock, and it's just a personnel gate. So you can go through with a bicycle or by person, and then the big gates are locked.
Okay.
But it does sound like, kind of given that condition, it may be hard to publicly announce that as a pedestrian bike path.
That's correct. I wouldn't announce it now.
Right.
It is available and open. They could padlock it tomorrow.
Got it. It's a practical path, but so with that, all those in favor of the motion, show of hands. So opposed, same sign. So it looks like one opposed, unless I'm not seeing everybody. Thomas, was yours a vote?
No, I didn't vote.
Did not vote. Okay, abstaining. Joe, I missed yours. You're muted.
I voted for.
Okay, so then I think that would put us 5 in favor, 1 against, and 1 abstention. So motion passes. Then
Quick question. The name of the contractor, how do you spell that? Bonds, or does anybody else know?
You mean the Soul Freak?
No,
German.
the
Oh,
contract
German.
is German. It's spelled like German. G-E-R.
German is Concrete and More Concrete. This is company name.
Thanks.
Okay, next is a little bit of a belated motion, but hopefully everybody's in favor. A motion to approve the purchase of a slow motion camera and a tripod for use by the city for various promotional videos at a total cost not to exceed $300. And I probably should have sent out attachments that the spec sheets on these, but these were things that Adri identified as being useful for both the Sidewalk art project, that she can put together some really cool promotional videos of that. And then when we do the Aspen mural, and probably a number of other things. And Adri, maybe you could better explain kind of what these things do and kind of what your vision would be if it is anything beyond what I just described.
Yeah, that's exactly what you described. I think it will be useful for, now that we're working on so many art projects like the mural and the sidewalk, I think it's going to be very interesting to have a more high-end video that we can show on our social media pages, and it's a very inexpensive camera. So I think it's a good start, especially now that we're doing all these art projects around the city. So I think it's going to be a good investment.
What I'll do too is Adri sent me a really cool link to a video that was for a bigger mural project, but it just gives you a sense of what is possible, and I'll send that around as soon as I find it here in a moment. Unless, Adri, you happen to find it first and could send that around, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll forward the link to everybody.
Okay, wonderful. So with that, I make the motion, would look for a second to that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, Amanda, thank you. And is there any discussion? Okay, there being none. Again, all in favor, show of hands. And same sign, I didn't see, it looks like code. So that it passes unanimously. So thank you. That's going to be cool. You'll see when you see the link, and of course you know that Adria is incredibly creative, so she'll do some cool stuff. Okay, next is a motion to approve the expenditure of $2,365 to support acquisition of 43 wireless hotspots for Stuart Elementary students who do not have access to Wi-Fi. And Amanda, if you'll kind of give us the background on that.
Sure. So prior to the start of the school year, Clear Creek ISD did a survey with parents district-wide, find out what the technology and access needs were. As you may or may not know, Stuart is a Title I school, so heavy population with Hispanic and underserved communities. And so there's 43 families that don't have access there at the school, and everything's being done virtually for now until some go back next week and some will continue to be virtual. The mayor has suggested that perhaps we could look at funding these, and then he so graciously reached out to his counterpart in Kima, Mayor Gale, and their EDC has agreed to split the charge or split the cost with us. So between Clear Lake Shores EDC and City of Kima EDC, we'll be funding those 43 internet hotspots so those students have access to class and teachers for as long as it's for the year, but if they choose to be online for the entire year, then they'll have that access.
And
So
actually the 2365 is 50% of that total cost.
50% of the total 43 cost. Yes. So that's our share.
So Amanda, you make that motion.
I do.
And so do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Johnny seconds. Any discussion?
I'm amazed that there's only 43 that doesn't have it. That's actually not bad for a school that big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think personally, I just think it's an incredibly positive thing for us to do. And I'm glad we have the opportunity and the ability to do it. So thanks for taking the lead on that, Amanda. So with that, there being no further discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve the expenditure of $2,365 for the acquisition of 43 wireless hotspots for Stuart Elementary? All in favor? Show of hands. It looks like unanimously approved. So thank you.
Hey, Charles,
Yes.
can I add something? I need to make a comment on what Kurt said about the the Disney stuff.
Uh-huh.
I looked up the quote she gave me, and she gave me a list of the 13 different pieces of art.
Uh-huh.
And one of them says, "Who says that my dreams have to stay just my dreams?" Ariel from The Little Mermaid. I don't know if that's a problem. And there's another one that says, one second. Everything else is like seagulls and stuff like that. And there's something else. One sec. Oh, one is Just Keep Swimming from Nemo.
Nemo, yeah.
So do either of those present a problem, do you think, Kurt?
I wouldn't do it.
I'm not able to speak on that behalf of trademarks.
I deal with
I tell you what, if it becomes a problem, we'll get a letter and we'll go put blonde hair on the brunette, and we'll put brunette hair on the blonde, and
Yeah, you just have to change it up a little bit it can't represent the characters. I was just looking online and schools have been sued over this.
I wouldn't do it. I deal with Disney, you know, and I have colleagues that deal with Disney. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Well, she hasn't started those two designs yet. So, I mean, if we want,
Yeah,
Well,
stay away from any licensed property. It's just not worth it.
Just change a few things.
Yeah, I think Nemo's already on the sidewalk, so she's gonna probably have to go over that one.
is it? Is that the one by the bridge?
Not entirely sure. We'll just have to
Well-
check on that tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't want to be reckless, but my personal opinion would be the likelihood of a Disney rep spotting a sidewalk artwork is slim to none, but not, I mean, yeah, but
Well, if we're going to tell her to do something different, then we need to really do it now.
Just my opinion. Like I said, I deal with this stuff every day, so I wouldn't do it.
but aren't you generally dealing with it in terms of materials that you're trying to sell?
I don't think it really matters. I mean, it's licensed property. It's someone's art. It doesn't belong to us. We shouldn't do it unless we were willing to pay for it. So, no.
Well, that and we're paying somebody to paint it.
Okay. Then Mike, I think it would be appropriate we'd need to pay a small change fee because we didn't to comment on that initially. To the extent they've already done the work, I think we'd need to pay for that, but okay.
Well, okay, I'll tell her to eliminate those two.
Yeah, okay,
Or just change them up somehow, you know?
right.
Okay.
Something that's not Disney or licensed.
Make them bad knockoffs.
Draw some legs on the fish.
Exactly, right.
That's, we'll just do something different. That's all.
Sure.
Okay, next item, discussion and possible motion to approve design and funding of a pedestrian crosswalk with pedestrian activation buttons, flashing warning signs, and a painted crosswalk at Clear Lake Road and Aspen Road. And of course, this is something that's been a long-standing concern and issue, and the mayor brought this up, and Brent had been talking about it. And so Brent, I'll let you, I don't know if you've had a chance to kind of think about what a total budget would need to be on that and any further investigation, but.
Okay, well, I have looked at that. I have two quotes for solar powered, but they're connected via like a little radio connector. Lights that would activate when you push the button, and they would flash for a programmable amount of time. I think they're set for 30 seconds, and they'll sync, get people's attention, and hopefully, and people can cross safely. I have both of those. They don't come with poles, so the poles are extra. I think as far as hardware goes, and I don't have a quote yet for striping. However, I have a vendor that's coming in to work on some potholes around the city. Also, they're going to do crack sealing, and I have them painting stop blocks for stop signs, everything but Blue Point and Narcissus, because they may be repaved, so it doesn't make sense to paint them right now. But I was hopeful that I could get him to give me a price or add to the work the crosswalk cost. I don't expect it to be crazy. As far as total cost, it looks like it's about a $13,000 or $14,000 total bill for all of that. Most of it is technology with the wireless and the solar.
And I guess then, and maybe just to put this in a formal form, then, do you want to go ahead and I would make the motion to approve the design and installation of a pedestrian crosswalk and all the attendant mechanisms at a cost not to exceed $15,000. So we can then, and if there's a second, then we'll open it up for discussion.
I'll second.
Okay. In terms of discussion, one of the questions I'd have, Brent, is that also motion detected so that when you get in some proximity to either side so that you don't have to press the button? If somebody...
The model that I've got so far does not have that. It has the pushable button. They do make what's called proximity, I think they're called bollards, that are placed, and if you cross the beam between the bollards, they activate. So if you're going to walk across the street and hit it, and it would activate it. I believe that those require hard wiring to function, and I was trying to stay away from having any hard wiring type activity, just because trying to get that done would be, I think, expensive and be more expensive than even 15,000. But I was trying to be the best steward I could with monies available. But I think 15,000 would certainly do that. I can look at that other option and see what it would be.
Okay.
Question.
Does this include the area from the parking lot to like Soul Freak, or is that a different area?
This would be the connection point to cross Clear Lake Road at Aspen. So it would be the corner next to Aspen's and the parking lot across the street to Soul Freak. So you could access. It would be just 2 signs set up to get across Clear Lake Road.
Now the question is that on the Aspen side or on the north side or the south side of?
Be on the south side.
On the south side. So it's the more logical, only because I think that's where people are they're walking closer to the south side of Soul Freak generally.
Yeah, I think logically, as far as where people walk, they usually just walk right up that ramp and they cut across mid-block. And that's kind of the problematic thing. I think if we put it on the corner, that's where it makes sense. And maybe it will drive people to that corner to get across, at least with the signalization there.
What about the area from Soul Freak to the restaurant? Is that a bad area as well?
It doesn't seem to be as difficult to cross as Clear Lake Road.
But let me ask you, and I would probably maybe disagree just a little bit, because I think, and maybe I'm just not as sensitive to it being at the corner, but I feel like most people are actually headed over to Okies. That gets more traffic than anything. And it's almost out of the way then to walk to the corner and back around and then back in front of Soul Freak, that people are still going to cut across if that's not where the crosswalk is.
Well, the big problem is putting it mid-block. You don't have enough distance between a signalized intersection and kind of an inserted crosswalk mid-block. I think you'd have more problems with people getting rear-ended, traffic stopping abruptly and people coming around the corner and getting hit. It would be very tight for that.
You don't think that's going to be an issue anyway?
It could be an issue.
I mean, we already. I mean, it's 15,000, but we already have a crosswalk, don't we, at the corner over by 2094?
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, do you make the crosswalk, or do you rather, kind of put up some fencing so people have to go walk around?
Hmm.
I mean, it's like we, extra lights. I don't know.
So I was trying to keep this simple and just put a crosswalk in with it marked on the south side of Aspen across Clear Lake Road. I just seen a lot of people going there in the mornings and afternoon. The one I observed the other day was a mother with 2 kids, and she stepped out in front of a car and had to stop from hitting her. Her husband was across the way and her kids were almost about to run across the street. So the incidents are there. The indicators are there, and we need to do something. I don't want to get this all tied up to making things hard and then the hard things impossible. So, you know, if we could just start off with something small with just the lights with the push button on the south side of Aspen, you know, either crossing westwardly or easterly between the two, whether they're going from the parking lot to Okies or Soul Freak back to Okies, and then we can reassess if we need more that would go from south to north along Clear Lake Road and Aspen.
I would agree with that. And the only thing I would say is I would actually feel safer as a pedestrian crossing there in front of Soul Freak than I would at 2094. People make left turns off 2094 or right turns off 2094, and you're likely to get clipped in that crosswalk.
I have not observed anybody going south to cross in a crosswalk at 2094.
Right.
Right. That's a good point, Charles.
How much more is it to make it touchless, where it's just?
I don't have that number, but I'll have to look at it and get in contact with.
Well, you added.
Remember to be ADA compliant, and the buttons have to be available. I've seen this at a library before, where you have the ballards and you have to go in between them, but they still had the push buttons also. But like Brent said, you got a lot more underground electronics to get to having the proximity switches in place.
You may consider the same go as doing this to move the speed limit signs a little bit closer to 2094.
You know, some of this all ties back. It all ties back to the parking lot. So part of the problem is that parking lot's not lit at night, number one. Number two, you have more cars pulling into Clear Lake Road to reach the parking lot because they can't see the entries or exits on Marina Bay Drive because they're not lit up, and we don't have any signage or graphics out there saying, hey, turn here. So you have more cars turning down Clear Lake Road and then turning into the parking lot. I've seen that a lot. So, you know, once we get the parking lot lit, you know, obviously this has been a problem and it needs to happen with the pedestrian walkway for sure. But we need we've got to get that parking lot lit, number one, and we got to have some signage, some graphics out there to turn vehicles before they get down Clear Lake Road so they can access in and out of that parking lot so it's not so congested.
Yeah, I completely agree with Don.
I can tell you what happened last week is I was coming back from Opus, and I was sitting at the turn signal there to come in, and the light, I had the green arrow, so I moved forward, and a couple of cars were coming up southbound, or I guess westbound on 2094, and they slowed down to light, and a bicycle came flying past them. And my wife is screaming because we're making that turn, and she goes down, and I think she's under my truck because she went face planted, and I couldn't see her. She just disappeared on the passenger side door. And we jump out, you know, my wife trying to help her. The cops come over, and you know, she ended up being okay, just, you know, bruised and bloodied up. But you know, she had black bike, completely dressed in black, blew through that red light like it wasn't even there, and she was on a very high dollar bike, and she was moving fast, so she got hurt, and that there's a problem there. I mean, there's a bigger problem, and a lot of what we're doing, I think, addresses that. But we really got to be, you know, focused on moving forward with these types of this signaling and the lighting. It's really big. It's going to get worse. You know, I think that all the steps we've made for the parking lot and moving forward with all these other things is a definite positive. But it's dangerous there, so we've got to try to move that traffic. If they're coming into the parking lot, turn off Marina Bay Drive, you know, and they're going to be in the same damn parking lot anyway. But you can't see it at night.
Yeah,
all of that.
I agree with Don. People rarely use that entrance to Marina Bay Drive at night because you can't see it. And also, you know, you're right. A lot of people cross mid-block because it's closer, you know, and people don't want to walk down. But what I notice is at night, most or a lot of people do gravitate toward that intersection and cross. And I think it's just because it's lit. So people at night will walk to the parking lot, walk toward Aspens where the intersection is, and cross like, we hope that they start doing if we install these.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think we should keep it simple. Get something there and evaluate, because it's a problem.
Yeah.
And the other thing is too, just, with EDC has done an awesome job of getting that all looking good, aesthetics and stuff. So I do ask that, what's up there right now on your display is some more of the higher end type poles that would match the type of hardware that's already installed on that entranceway, instead of going just with a T-pole.
I would agree. Yeah, it needs to look nice.
That's what the quote's for, right, Brent? Is for what we're seeing right now.
If that is the TS60RRBF, I don't know if you can zoom up or.
Yeah, those look pretty nice.
But that's what the quote is for, that you gave the price for?
Yes. Yeah, it's with those poles.
One other quick comment that may or may not help is in the parking lot itself, facing the parking lot, you could put small signs with arrows that says cross at crosswalk.
That's a good idea.
Maybe 1 out of 10 people will actually listen to it, but it's a low cost addition.
Yeah.
That's traffic safety. The pole that is with the quote is a 12-foot galvanized pole, but it's square with a pole sleeve, and it's considered a breakaway system. That one's that's a like a brush aluminum right there. And I told them what we had as far as climate, as a coastal community. So, but I can go back to them and we can get whatever. I don't know if the poles that are shown right there that just moved over.
Just galvanized.
Those are the hardwired ones because they have like an access point in the bottom of them for the wiring, for hardwired.
Well, do you feel like you need more latitude on the pricing? I mean, I think we all agree on kind of what the intent is there, and now we just, let me see if I can work with it. It's not it's fine.
So
Okay.
the only thing is maybe bump it to 20K just so you
Yeah, I think I would go ahead and amend the motion to $20,000 just to make sure that you don't have to come back, knowing that you're gonna make the most economical decision that also addresses the aesthetics of it. So I would amend that motion. Do we have a second for the amended motion?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay. And then, so any further discussion?
You're good with solar though, right? And
I think unless, that would take boring, and you're really talking about a more significant project then if we don't go with solar, correct?
yes.
Yeah. I would agree. That's probably that's the good plan today rather than the perfect plan tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
and other than that, it seems like we just need to be issuing more tickets there would be the solution as well. So, okay, all in favor of the motion to install a pedestrian crosswalk there at Aspen at a cost not to exceed $20,000. All in favor, show of hands. Looks like it's unanimous. Motion approved. And so next item is discussion and possible action to approve removal and replacement of freeze damaged palm trees in the Marina Bay Drive medians. And Brent, if you'll kind of tell us what that's about.
Well, I received with our landscape company, I've got some pictures that there are some palm trees out there that evidently I'm not a palm tree aficionado. I don't understand them, but if they get freeze damage, they start to delaminate and they start decaying and they die a slow death. And eventually what will happen is usually the tops, or where it's kind of whittled down, it will fail, it'll turn to mush, and then it falls over. I'm not worried about the tops becoming like a traffic hazard or a problem there, but it is ugly. They suggested they can remove the dead/damaged palms for $450 a piece, get rid of them, and then replace them with a hardier variety. And he had a list of them that, guesstimating without going to the nursery, see what's in stock, but another hardy variety that would match themselves in the median, somewhere between somewhere between $1,300 and $2,000 each, and kind of dependent on nursery stock. So I got that just late in the day on Thursday, and I thought that might be something to put on the agenda to discuss, because we are talking, EDC is about appearances and aesthetics. It's closely related to quality of life and place setting and all of that, and supporting businesses. So that's where that came from.
And do you know how many we're talking about?
I do not. When I drive by in the morning, I have been out there to walk in the middle of the median, but I need to look at them. I think that all of them are going to eventually need replaced, the ones that are there. So, I can get a number, but I wanted to bring it in front of you. It's something that you'd be interested in. And just got the budget set and approved through council. It did not include this kind of an item. Had it been a month earlier, I would have. So,
And so maybe it's just we're at the conceptual level, and I'm looking, I'm actually going Google Earth here to just look and see where we have palms and then where we have oaks. And my Google Earth is seized up.
Are you able to pull that up on the screen?
I could if
What do you need pulled up?
Google Earth Street View at what we're actually, the trees that we're actually talking about there. So, Brent, are we talking about the ones that are on Clear Lake Road or the ones on Marina Bay? And we don't seem to have that many. I guess they're the ones east of Clear Lake Road mainly.
Marina Bay, yes. I think they lost some to the same problem.
What's that?
I think they'd already lost some to the same problem, the disease, decay.
I don't know if, oops, opening the wrong things here. There we go. Yeah.
Oh, those queen palms, those are horrible.
Is that what that is in the median there?
Yeah, that's a queen palm. So those are terrible.
Yeah, so the queen palms, they get they froze about 2 or 3 years ago, and then they die from the inside, so they're still green. Then all of a sudden they just snap off and break over. Tons of them are gone. Yeah. In Galveston, lost pretty much all of them. Here we're losing a bunch in the residential area, and then these here you can go push on them and they'll be soft.
Yeah.
And they'll just all of a sudden snap when it gets like a 15 or 20 mile gust. So definitely want to replace those. And I forget the names of the ones that are in the entryway, but those are very hardy, freeze hardy.
Those are Majules.
Majules, yes. They're very expensive, but they are the hardy ones. And that's why it's so important to get those electrical lines moved, because Centerpoint's going to come in and do a whack-a-mole with them. But down the medium, either put oaks in or to keep our palm trees, you have to go with the Majules.
Well, and I'm assuming that's probably more expensive than the 1,500, and that's kind of where I was headed. If you turn the other way, we've got nothing but oaks, and do you just continue with the oaks, knowing that they're hardy?
Those are hardy.
Well, live oaks, I mean, they are a native tree.
Right. No, they're native. They're just really small species.
They don't give the appeal that entrance gives.
Right.
Well, you can buy better ones than the saplings from Home Depot.
But if we're going to change them anyway, should we consider something that obstructs the view less in case we later wanted to reapply to have the blinking yellow arrow?
I think that's our main entry. And that should look.
Well, that looks nasty there.
That should, separate us from everything else in the area. I think that if you put, bit the bullet, we put jewels in there to blend in with what we've done, it kind of separates us from all of those oaks that are lining the median all the way down through Lake City, and I think we want to differentiate ourselves.
What is a jewel run like that?
They're $6,500, I think.
Yeah.
We don't need a lot of them. We don't need a lot of them.
When you think of like River Oaks in West Gray, I mean, that whole area, it gives you a feel, right? So I'm all for it. I think it definitely makes it look so much better.
Well, it does suggest that if we're going to do it, then we want to go ahead and get the jewels. And so I think we're all in favor of it. It's just a matter of getting the right pricing.
Yeah.
Do we need to go ahead and approve some modest amount for removal of the ones that are kind of dead now at the $450 a pop? And then we can come back with a subsequent motion for the actual cost of replacing
Yes,
jewels.
those need to go. They look terrible.
Yeah, and I also remember Joe was looking at, was doing something around the rest of the island, because you start on the south side and you've got palm trees, and you get towards the north and then they just disappeared. So I don't know, some type of program. I'm not saying to do it now, but just keep it in your memory bank.
So Brent, I don't know how many we have out there that need to be addressed, but is it less than 10?
It was more, wasn't it?
One.
Wasn't there 2 on each side? There was one there. I think.
Maybe there were 2 on each side.
Yeah, I think there were 2 on each side.
So 3. So we want to maybe that's no more than $1,500 for removal.
Yeah, that guy looks pretty sad right there.
Yeah, the other photo I think was showing 2 left. So it depends. I guess we were a little further, but yeah, that one shows
3 there.
Oh, 3.
I think there's 3. I think there was 3 on each side.
So 3. We have a total of 4. So maybe that's $1,800. Let's call it 2,000. Do we have a motion to approve the expenditure up to $2,000 for the removal of the existing palm trees on Marina Bay Drive?
Yeah,
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Who was that second? I'm sorry.
I'll second the motion, Joe.
Okay, Joe, I made the motion, Joe seconded.
Yep.
And so then all in favor, show of hands. So, okay, unanimous approval. And then we'll come back with, Brent, if you want to get pricing.
Yeah, that's fine. I can, once we get a clean slate, he can go ahead and quote that out. And I can come back with a good price.
And maybe we need some design thought as to whether or not that's 2 and 2 or 3 and 3, or is there a different, do we just stick those trees back there? If we're going to spend $30,000 on trees, we just want to make sure we do it right. Maybe want to do a little more than that in the beds or something. So.
I'll get together tomorrow or the next day with Brent, and we'll coordinate the appointments that I have tentative with the arbor people.
Okay.
That'll work. Thank you, Joe.
Then I am going to, thank you very much, Brent. I'm going to table the next motion. The origin of that was that one thing leads to 10, because when we started looking at signs for depot, the please pick up your trash or put trash in the cans, we realized that we were on Friday nights, those cans were already full, or Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. So it doesn't do any good to tell people to put trash in the cans if the cans are overflowing. So then the question was, how do we get those attended on the weekend? But then Brent seems to have addressed it, I think adequately for now, with just some other Rubbermaid cans out there, which may not be the most elegant solution, but it seems to be functioning. I don't know if anyone's had any other observations. But if that's the case, I think we can kind of carry on with that for the moment, Brent. Seems to be working.
Okay.
But we'll hold that for a later time. I did want to circle back one quick thing, Brent. You and I talked about, is there any way that someone from the city could go through and weed eat the expansion joints and the edges of that sidewalk?
Yes, yeah, I've already talked to Public Works. They were working on that, and the painters were working, and they asked that they wait until they're done. So we get out there and take care of that. That's not a
Okay,
problem.
appreciate it. And then Brent and Kurt, I don't know if I think I sent you the mock-up of the signs, and wanted to get your thoughts on expanding the font, and we'll circle back on that tomorrow. But anyway, with that, I think there is no further new business, so we shall adjourn the meeting.
Yeah, Brent,
Yes, sir.
could you give me a call after this, please, before I talk to Amy?
Sure.
Okay.